I've got a video that I'm working on right now, actually. I'm toying around with the title, but it's basically the theme of the video is because I saw, I can't remember who the press outlet was, but they were like, BioWare is finally back is the I think the name of that article. And I literally, my mind immediately went, they never went anywhere. And so I'm working on this video right now that's talking about how BioWare never went anywhere, guys. It's just some people lost faith and lost interest, and for whatever reasons didn't like a couple of games they did. But BioWare never went anywhere. That's kind of like George Lucas. You know, did he have a couple of hiccups in Star Wars along the way? Sure. There were times when some parts of the fan base were a little upset about things he did, but he never went anywhere. He was always there working on more Star Wars. And that the Star Wars thing I have in the back of my mind always is that there's no such thing as bad Star Wars. There's just that some Star Wars is better than other Star Wars. It's Star Wars. If you love Star Wars, you love all of Star Wars. And it's kind of like BioWare. I love BioWare as a company. Do I love all of their games equally? No. But they have always made good games. And Hemulator just brought up a very good point. Yes, there was an association with vitriol against EA as a publisher that washed off onto BioWare for better or for worse. And it's cancel culture. All right, that's a 1 hour process to complete building that, which means I think we can probably move on to doing some missions for faction. Anthem was a good game. I was actually talking to my brother about this the other day. It was like what plagued Anthem was not that it was a bad game. It was that it launched without a ton of content in a weird place where people wanted there to be like hundreds of hours of in-game content, and it didn't get a chance to have any breathing room because it launched and the campaign, I remember the main campaign being something like 10 or 12 hours, which is normal for those types of multiplayer games. And then the end game was like, here's these 3 dungeons, go grind these for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months until we launch the next content drop. And a lot of people were very unhappy with that. And I think the issues that plagued it from my perspective, because my brother and I both had it on the PS4 at launch. I pre-ordered that game for both of us. I got it for him for Christmas, and we were playing together, and it was just blue screen crash after blue screen crash after blue screen crash. We played through it, but it was one of the rougher launches I've seen outside of Cyberpunk 2077 on the PlayStation. And I think that was, the bugginess of that launch contributed, I think, more than the lack of content, because every game, when it launches, doesn't have a ton of content. It was a great experience. The storyline was everything I love about BioWare. Great mocap, great music, great story. Like if you've never played the single player storyline, it's like 10, 12 hours. But it was like, here's these missions. You can choose to do them solo or you can choose to do them group. Really cool Iron Man flight suits, different types of flight suits. I liked the mage, the mage version. The Storm, I think is what it was called. There was I don't remember all the names now. I think it was called the Storm Javelin. And it was a lot of fun. But it had just so many bugs. And my brother and I stuck it out because we both really enjoyed it. But it was not a fun experience in terms of bugginess. Same with Cyberpunk 2077. Great game. Shitty launch on the PS4. To the fact that they pulled that one from the store. And then, of course, coming back 2 years later with Phantom Liberty and just crushing it with all the fixes and winning their reputation back. It would have been great if Anthem had been given that chance, but instead EA decided to pull the plug, which sucks. Andromeda was another one where I loved Andromeda. I've got 2.5 playthroughs. Yeah, there were some bug-eyed, weird animations at the beginning of the game, but the mocap was great. The voice acting was great. They've got some amazing voice actors. Yeah, and there's a second. There's another show they're doing, Emulator. I just saw a little teaser announcement that CD Projekt Red and Netflix have something coming. I don't know if it's another season of Edge Runners or, but something's coming down the pipeline from those guys related to Cyberpunk. If you've only ever played Bioware Anthem, Drusilla, I would say um, if you have the time, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition that they released like maybe 3 years ago is definitely worth your time. It's 3 games, and those Mass Effect games were like the pinnacle of when Bioware was sort of at its peak with when the two founders, the two doctors, were still there, still hands-on before they sold, because they left during Star Wars: The Old Republic, right after it launched or right before it launched, I forget. Um, Jade Empire is probably a little outdated now, but the voice acting in that game is absolutely phenomenal. Um, Wait, Jade Empire, is Jade Empire Obsidian or Bioware? Fuck, I may have said an Obsidian game. Hang on. uh, Jade Empire was Bioware. Okay, Jade Empire is Bioware. Yeah. Okay, I had to make sure because I was thinking that that might have been. And of course, the Dragon Age games are great. But I would say if you just want to pick a single game to play, Drusilla, that kind of can be played on its own, and it's more recent, so it would be like, and it would be Mass Effect Andromeda. It's sort of a standalone entry into the Mass Effect series. You're not going to need to know everything that came before. There will be Easter eggs if you do, but there is enough of an introduction that helps you understand what came before, and it's just sort of a great single player storyline. It has really fun combat. There's the different, you can do all these different combos, but you can be ranged, you can be melee, you can use adept magic powers. Like I thought it was a great game. Not everyone agrees with me, but anyway, um, maybe I ought to just make this segment about, rather than make a whole other video about it. BioWare never went anywhere. Everybody, they've always made good games. It's just not every game they make has been the best game they've ever made, and also the taint of EA, for better or for worse. I'm not in the camp who hates EA, but I do recognize that EA had some fumbles, which unfortunately tainted BioWare's reputation. I think the Battlefront 2 launch with the whole, loot boxes and microtransactions, that was a horrible, and it sucked so bad because if you've never played the single player campaign in Star Wars Battlefront 2, the one that is the most recent Star Wars Battlefront 2 they did, that single player campaign, the mocap, the storyline, Inferno Squad, it is really damn good. It is super fun, super fun. Yeah, same thing with Ubisoft. Some people are like, Ubisoft, and they get all triggered, and it's like, yeah, but Ubisoft makes really fun, commercially successful, it might be McDonald's fast food type content, but they're fun games to play. Not everything out there needs to be like Baldur's Gate 3, Witcher 3, handcrafted. Like sometimes it's fun to have a McDonald's Assassin's Creed style game to just go sink 40 hours into and walk away and go, I'm satisfied, that was fun. The Division games are fun. Division 3 just got announced. I haven't put nearly enough time into those games in recent years. I played a little bit of the first one, really enjoyed the second one. Looking forward to the third one, especially coming off of them having just done Star Wars Outlaws. Like, Massive Entertainment can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. Like, you guys knocked it out of the park with Star Wars Outlaws. I am down for that. But yeah, BioWare, they never went anywhere. I'm glad that the press around the Veilguard is overwhelmingly positive and I'm talking press. I'm not talking the angry little trolls on Twitter/X. I'm talking about the press outlets. The press outlets have all been praising it, to the point where we have that one outlet saying BioWare's finally back, and it's like they've been there the whole time. They've just been, under an intense amount of pressure to don't fuck this up. Like, it's got to be done perfectly, because if it even has the slightest like the wolves smell blood, and it's like whatever perceived things that were around the last couple of releases, Andromeda and Anthem, um, there are a vocal enough amount of people that if there's anything around this one that would be a legitimate complaint, it could be an issue for them. I don't consider complaints about the character creator to be a legitimate complaint, but if it launches and it has like blue screen crashes, that's going to be a problem, and I think that's what they're trying really hard to avoid is some sort of a buggy launch.